Hi and welcome back to my channel. I am Carla and this is my little nook in this end of the universe that we call YouTube. I am a shamanic practitioner mainly within Nordic shamanism, and today I'm here to continue our series about Nordic gods. So we have reached the fourth and last video in this part of the series, and then I will come back in the fall of 2026 with another 4 videos or so. So we are here to talk about Baldr. So in this video I will talk about who is Baldr, my relationship to Baldr, can you honor, summon, celebrate Baldr in any way, should you, and then I want to thank you for being here, but that part I'm gonna start with. So thank you for watching this video, thank you for subscribing and liking this video if you like it, and comment if you have any questions or you want to share something with me. So with that said, let's start with the family tree of Baldr. So Baldr is the son of Odin and Frigg, and Odin and Frigg also have the sons Hermod and Höder, but the thing is that Hermod and Höder aren't really gods in the sense of gods that we honor and work with, or I don't, in the Nordic shamanic tradition. They seem to be only literary figures that have been invented later to make stories more intriguing or that sort of thing. So just want to let you know that. And I mentioned this with Loki. My entire video on Loki, I talk about the fact that or I ask the question, is Loki actually a god or is he only a literary figure? And yeah, so I do actually separate those two things. There are gods that I never work with because they weren't there from the beginning. They have come into just literary texts to fill gaps or to highlight things or to be the representation of a certain energy or a certain role. So Höder and Hermod, the brothers of Baldr, seem to be these kinds of gods. Höder is mainly known for killing Baldr and being this blind brother that ended up killing him, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment or two. Hermod is the one who supposedly, in the same story about Baldr's death, is the one who travels to Helheim, to the world of Hel, to retrieve Baldr, or, you know, yeah, that sort of thing. And those seem to be the only times that his brothers are mentioned, and there aren't really there aren't really sources that tells us that they are anything but just literary figures. And the same seems to go for Baldr's wife, Nanna Nepsdotter. So Nanna seems to be a figure that has been invented as a mother to Forsete, which is the son of Baldr and Nanna in the stories. And I am more believed that Forsete is an aspect of Baldr rather than his son, and this aspect of Baldr has become his son in the stories. So I'm gonna get into Forsete a little bit, mainly probably towards the end of this part of the video, where I talk about who Baldr is. So, who is Baldr? Except for the son of Odin and Frigg, he is the most beautiful of the gods. He is good and he is righteous and he is a judge. And that is the part of him that has gotten its own life in Forsete. So Forsete is probably an aspect of Baldr that is the judge, and he has his own hall where he, casts judgments or that sort of thing over people, and they come there to know what is right and what is wrong and who wins the case and that sort of thing. So I'm gonna talk more about Forsete in a moment. So it is said about Baldr that he is so bright, his light is so bright that he shines. Like you can almost not see his features because of the light that he emanates, because he's so bright and so beautiful. And he is the god of beauty, he's the god of light, and he is the god of balance. And balance comes back to his righteousness and his ability to judge. But it's also the fact that whatever his judgments are, people never really tend to take them to heart. So he's a god that comes with really good advice. He's a god that comes with a fair assessment and judgment, but people really doesn't trust him, and then shit hits the fan. He's known to be wiser and more well-spoken than any other god, and Baldr lives in Breidablik, or Breidablik, and it's the place with the wide view. So Breda means wide, and Blick means view or to see, to watch. And this is a place where purity and perfection rules. Baldr is the most beautiful, the brightest, and the kindest of all of the gods. And he is so bright and so beautiful and so kind that it is said that Skadi, the winter goddess, wanted to marry him, but that marriage fell through. And then we come to the most famous part about Baldr, I think, and that is the tale of his death. And this is a tale that has been told in different ways by different people, and Snorri Sturlason has his version of it in the Nordic Edda, and then a guy named Saxo has another story about that, and they have completely different views on Baldr. My view on Baldr is more in line with Snorri's view of him being this bright light, and he's righteous and he's good, and he is purity and beauty personified. More than Saxo's version of Baldr, that is that he is with the warrior spirit but a half god without any good in him at all, and that's the opposite side of it all. So they have really different sides of it, and that has colored the story of Baldr's death that they have different versions of. So I'm not going to talk about both of these stories, that would take too long, but I'm gonna talk about maybe the core of it, the similarities more than the differences, because there are really truly two different stories. And in the Edda that Snorri has written, there are a lot of literary figures that has gotten their place, like Hermod and Höder and those other people, that only seem to be a part of that story and nowhere else. And the Loki is also a part of it, which means to me that even if it's a good story, it's probably not something that was that is ancient and there from the beginning. And if you want to know what I'm talking about and why I seem to talk have such a small opinion on Loki, you can watch that video here. I don't have a small opinion on him, it's just that he's a literary figure first and foremost. He's not a god. If he's anything, he's a representation of an archetype of the trickster. So he's someone that has been invented afterwards and put in the stories to give them more life, you can say. Which means that these stories aren't the original stories. So Saxo, on the other hand, has this completely different story that basically is Baldr being vengeful, and he wants a bride, but she doesn't want him, and he goes to any length to get her, and he has really no good in him in that story. So what are the similarities between these two stories that are the most famous stories or versions of the story of Baldr's death? So the similarities are that in both or in all of the stories about his death, Baldr has dreams. He has these bad dreams that something's gonna happen to him, and that makes him afraid that he is going to die, because the dreams basically tell him that your time is up, dude. And in both stories we actually do have the brother Höder, but in one story he's blind and in the other he's not. But in both stories, Baldr's brother Höder kills him with a special kind of weapon. The weapon is different in both stories. In Snorri's story, it's a weapon forged from a mistletoe, because that is the only plant that can kill him. And in Saxo's story, it's a sword, if I am not misremembering. But so the similarities are dreams, foreboding dreams. Baldr is killed by Höder, that kills him with a special weapon, because Baldr can almost not be killed because he's so protected. And in both stories, Baldr has one weak spot, and then the last thing. Why do I do like this and then 4 I do like this? And in both stories, Baldr comes to Helheim after having been burned at like this, not the stake, but they burn the boat, and he is on the boat, his body is on the boat, his corpse is on the boat, and then he gets to Hel. And the story then continues in different directions depending on what story you read, but the most famous one is that he doesn't come back until after Ragnarök, or when Ragnarök is, and that he survives and so forth. So I would say that I'm not the biggest fan of Snorri's Edda in relation to my practice of Nordic shamanism, because of the extreme, in my opinion, influence that the coming of Christianity has had on those stories, and the similarities that Snorri's stories has to Christian stories about Jesus and other characters or other things. So I'm not the biggest fan of those stories, because they are too colored by that, in my opinion. But I am a fan of his view on most of the gods or goddesses. So back to Forsete, the son of Baldr that I promised I was going to talk a little bit about. So in my opinion, the most likely scenario is that he is an aspect of Baldr, and he is this righteous aspect that is the judge. And Forsete means the one who sits in the front. He lives in Glitne, which means the shining house, and he is a mediator and a judge. So there are some sources that say that Forsete is a god of his own. He's then tied to a court. He guarantees that he will, place a righteous verdict and a correct verdict. He really weighs the options for and against, and then make the correct decision, and no one leaves without agreeing. So in one end of the spectrum we have that no one really listens to Baldr's judgments, but when it comes to Forsete, the myth is that no one will go away and feel like they have been wronged. So with him you can find the best court for gods and people. In modern Icelandic, Forsete is the official title of the president of Iceland. So his name has lived on, or his name has that sort of connection and that sort of origin. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for, origin. So what is my relationship with Baldr? So I have more of a relationship with Baldr than I have with Forsete, I would say. I have met Baldr in different Jewish shamanic journeys, and he often comes when I need some kind of clarification or validation that I am on the right track, or when I feel like I don't really know where I'm going, and he's like, this is the right path, and he shows me that. And he always comes almost like I want to say a bolt of lightning, but not really. It's more like he's coming on sunshine, like the radiant sunshine, like beaming him down or something like that. And it's this white bright light, and then all of a sudden he's there, and so he really is. I'm in awe of his beauty and his presence every time that I meet him in a journey or in a meditation. And he seems to always make me at ease, and he's like, it's okay, I know what is right, I know what to do, and listen to me and everything will go the way that you hope. Something like that. So for me, he's this deity that comes with that sort of sense and clarity, I would say. And I am always in the process of getting to know the different gods and goddesses. And Baldr is someone that I haven't really worked consciously or intentionally with him, but he's always there. And when I think of him, he has a given place in the pantheon and also in my heart. So he is really important to me, even though I haven't really delved deeper into that relationship, because he's just, in Swedish we say självklar. He's like this, well, of course he's there. Why wouldn't he be there? And that's Baldr. The sense of I know him, that sort of thing. So I am actually hosting a ceremony on my tier of Nordic Goddesses and other ceremonies on my Patreon in a short while, on the 28th of May. And so if you are a member of my Patreon on that tier, or on the tier of practitioner, then that will be available to you, and also the recording of that ceremony will be available to you. I look forward to the ceremony, to meet him again, and to feel his energies, and to maybe get to know him a little bit deeper, even though I am mainly hosting it for the members on my Patreon, so they can get to know him a little bit deeper. I do host the same one in Swedish as well a few days before that. So on the 25th is the Swedish ceremony. So if you want to know more about that, then contact me ASAP, so that you can so that you can become a member and get the invite. If you want to join me in English, if you want to join me in Swedish, there are ways to join that ceremony without being a member on Patreon. So give me a holler if you want to join me. Anyway, so can we summon him in any situation? Should we? And I would say that, as always, get to know the gods a bit deeper, a bit more before summoning them. I think that if I would call upon Baldr, he seems to just be there when I need him. That's the thing. But if I was to call upon him or summon him, I think it would be to find the correct answer, or because maybe when we are in conflict with anyone, or in a situation where we can't really see clearly because of personal issues or prejudices, then we can call upon him to really be like, well, this is the truth, whether you want it or not. And then I would maybe also call upon Forsete, but there's a fine line between those two characters, those two like roles in the pantheon, I would say. So yeah, and then can we celebrate him? We can always celebrate the gods, and I think that a wonderful time to do that is, if you don't do it with me, then a wonderful time to do that might be the summer solstice, because he is beauty and light, and as I said, to me he always comes on the rays of sunshine. And yeah, so we can honor him and celebrate him during the summer, or maybe more, you know, importantly, the summer solstice, if we like. I celebrate Sunna, the sun goddess, on the summer solstice. So I think I would, maybe if I were to honor Baldr a time of the year, that would be around there, but maybe I would do it maybe at dawn or something like that, like an early morning ritual or ceremony. And yeah. With that said, thank you for watching again, and in the description box you can just see where to find me, and please follow, subscribe, every button that there is, and walk in beauty with the gods, and I will see you soon. Xingling!